Hey, we're back. This is John.
Hey, it's Paul.
And it's Eric.
And it's What If Geeks. And we are here with our first review, with our review of episode 1 of Falcon and Winter Soldier. I don't have the episode title, so whoops. Anybody got it? Nope? Okay, cool. So we are in the same vein as we've done every show we like to watch. We're going to review Falcon and Winter Soldier every week. And then we're going to drop another episode either here or on Patreon, depending on how good we do on getting Patreon launched. So we'll see. But this is at least coming to you every week. So this first episode, I talk an awful lot these last couple episodes. So why don't you...
So it starts with Sam looking sort of sad. He's getting ready to... he's ironing a shirt. He's got Cap's shield on the bed. He's thinking back to his conversation from the end of Endgame with Cap. And Cap asks him how the shield feels in his hand, and he says it feels like it belongs to someone else. And Cap, as we know from the movie, says it doesn't. He's getting dressed to go. What we find out later is to donate the shield to the Smithsonian. But in the meantime, he is. There's a couple of little cool things that happen in there, and then there's the really cool scene of him. The action sequence starts, right? He's on the plane. They're going after Balrock?
Batrock the Lieber.
That's right. George St. Pierre, the MMA fighter.
Which was a nice surprise because, I mean, honestly, I guess if I had been trying to really dig deep on this show, we would have seen that he was coming back for it.
Yeah.
But I really hadn't done much digging outside of watching the trailer. Because we were too busy with WandaVision and everything else.
Yeah.
So when he popped up, and I was like, "Is that George St. Pierre?" And I was like, "Is that Batrock?" And then he started talking, and I was like, "That's fucking Batrock." All right, cool.
It's a great action sequence of him tracking this plane down, getting in there. The fight scenes are great. The use of Red Wing, his drone, is really cool.
Yep.
And then the guys. They're taking this American soldier hostage, and so they get in those sort of, I don't know,
the flying squirrel suits.
Flying squirrel suits, right? Base jumper kind of things, and then they jump out of the plane, and so he has to go after it. It's a very cool scene.
Yeah, and the whole plan is great. Go hijack this plane, grab whatever they're gonna grab, and then jump out of the plane in these flying squirrel suits until they're getting chased by the one Avenger who's got a fucking flying suit. Right. And has been built for this.
Yeah.
Okay, I know War Machine notwithstanding, he's not there yet.
Great scene of action sequence, and ends up with Falcon actually rescuing the soldier that he needs to rescue, blows up the helicopter that those guys are in. And then the soldier on the ground who's sort of telling him, you can't go into, I don't know what it is.
Somalian, all right.
Somalian or Iraqi airspace, whatever country's airspace they can't violate.
Libyan, sure.
Yeah. Gets to the ground. They're in a cafe, and he and Sam are talking, and then the kid says, he goes, there's a conspiracy online that Cap's in a base on the moon. Is that true? No, that's not true.
Yeah, that was funny. Which was kind of a nice nod to the Inhumans too.
Yeah, which also reminds you that the world doesn't know what happened to Cap, right? From the end of Endgame, and it's not clear how long it is from the end of Endgame to wherever we are in Falcon Winter Soldier.
I think they do say it's been a few months since the.
Is that right?
Yeah. So you had WandaVision was a couple weeks after it.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be a few months after.
It definitely can't have been long because, not to jump ahead, but I mean, they're doing like a memorial service thing for him in this episode.
Right.
So it definitely can't be years later, right?
Yeah.
And he's just giving.
I know they say it somewhere in there. It's months.
He's just about to give the shield over.
Yeah.
And so he tells him no, he's not. He's not on the moon. And but he does, and then the kid gets a augmented reality notice that there's a red palm, which is the symbol for the Flag Smashers, who in the comics is an actual person. This is more of a, I don't know, terrorist organization seems like a strong word, but it's a group sort of based on this radical idea of no borders and open society, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so it's a nice modern take on one character.
Right.
Now, but before we go any further, I want to go back to the initial action scene. Two things in there. One, like you said, the action is great, right? But the fact that they're showing that at least Falcon's he's an Avenger, but he's a soldier. Like, he's killing people in this. He's chucking people off the damn thing and letting them hit the ground, Yeah. He's a soldier. He's fighting. And then the second thing, the versatility in his wings. Like, he uses them as a shield.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
That was very cool.
Yeah.
You got to imagine when the helicopter blows up, it's not like the 80s G.I. Joe episodes where you see the parachute canopies and you know that everybody gets out safely. Like, you got to assume that they don't.
Yeah, no, he did.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them were like thrown right up against the rocks. Like, there was no question. Yeah. They weren't making it.
And so he sees that the symbol for the Flag Smashers, and so he decides he's going to go and figure it out. And Sam says, "I got to go," and he's like, "Do you mind if I ask what you're doing?" And he said, "Moon stuff." And then the scene cuts over to him at the Smithsonian. Sort of the reason that he was getting the suit ready is he's up there donating the shield, Cap's shield, to the Smithsonian. War Machine is in the audience, and they have a conversation around after the official ceremony where he hands over Cap's shield. He and Don Cheadle have this conversation about why didn't you take up the mantle of Captain America? And he said it's not mine to do. Right? That seems it's somebody else's. It's Steve's.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of really cool stuff, and I didn't see all this the first time. I had to watch another YouTube video about it. But all the Easter eggs in the Smithsonian stuff is all really cool. Like, there's not only pictures from first Captain America movie of Chris Evans coming out of the machine after he gets the super soldier stuff, but there's a picture of the actual Captain America #1 comic. There's pictures of him holding the cab door as a shield.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of stuff in there. And then there's a list of all the people that vanished in the snap.
Yeah.
The blip. There's homages to the self-help group that Steve was leading. Where were you when they left, etc. So that's a bunch of cool stuff. And then there's writing about the sort of end of Endgame and the story of Cap. It doesn't mention him going back in time. It just mentions sort of how the Avengers win in the end. So there's a lot of cool stuff in there. And then I think it goes from there. I think then we start Bucky's story.
Yeah.
Going from him as Winter Soldier on a mission that ends with him getting through this guy's high-value targets, bodyguards, ultimately killing him, choking him out, and then turning to a guy who happens to witness it, turning and shooting him, and then you see Bucky wake up from remembering that as a nightmare in a very sparse apartment, like he's sleeping on the floor.
Yeah.
No stuff around, still sort of living that assassin life. From there, you go to he's in an appointment with a therapist and talking, her trying to get him to open up about some of the things he's been through, and she mentions that he's been paroled. So,
she asks him how the nightmares, and he's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Sort of denies it all.
Yeah, they sort of gloss over it too, but she says something to him when he's complaining about not, he doesn't want to, like, engage with her or whatever. And she's like, well, you have to. It's a condition of your pardon,
Right.
is what she says, right? So,
Right.
I mean, they kind of gloss over it, but obviously some things happened.
Well, I'm assuming a lot of them, probably Wanda notwithstanding, got pardoned after Endgame because there were the Sokovia Accords, or anybody that was with Cap was locked up. So a lot of them, for their help in the fight against Thanos, got pardons, whatever.
But also,
you can learn more about that.
He killed T'Challa, right? He killed Black Panther's father, so
yeah, T'Challa.
That would have been another thing.
Right.
That he ultimately gets pardoned for.
So there's a lot he got pardoned for because he was a soldier, and I think that's all kind of. So we go from there to him. Sort of, he befriends this older Asian guy in what looks like a sushi restaurant, and they get to talking, and I guess they get together fairly often. And the guy mentions that the girl behind the bar is cute, and so he says something, so they end up on a date. And then the guy goes into the story about how his son was killed. Yeah, well, the Bucky won't talk to the girl, and he's like, the old man is like, talk to her.
Yeah.
Then when he won't, the old man turns around to the girl and was like, he thinks you're cute, you know? He's like, you know, he wants to take you out to dinner or whatever. And she says, and it's funny too, because she says, all right, what do you like to do? And Bucky says like pinochle or some crap like that.
Yeah.
Because he's an old man like this Japanese guy. Right? So he says like old man shit, like bingo and pinochle or whatever. And she's like, well, you can pick me up here, but no pinochle, you know?
And it's not
he tells the Asian dude too, like, you know, I haven't been to a dance since 1943. I got to warm up or something like that.
It's also not clear immediately like why they're friends, and I thought Bucky's kind of an old soul, and right, he's that age too.
He's a literal.
I thought too.
He's got to be over 100 years old now. 105 years old.
He says he's 109.
Yeah. 109. Okay.
And then you find out that as the guy tells the story about his son being in the wrong place in the wrong time, you sort of come to figure out who that is. And then Bucky's got this list of people he's trying to right a wrong, and he mentions in his therapist appointment that he's responsible for the arrest of a member of Congress who's a member of Hydra.
Yeah,
and scratches her out of the book too.
Yeah, well, it was because the lady says there are 3 conditions of his parole. One,
can't hurt anybody.
One was don't break the law.
Yeah.
2 was don't hurt anybody, and she's like, that's important. And he's like, why isn't that number 1 then?
Right.
And then I forget what the hell 3 was.
3 was basically like he has to say he's making amends. So he tells them, because he tells the senator, my name is James Barnes. I was a Winter Soldier, and I'm making amends or whatever. And then they come and arrest her ass. So yeah. So he's trying to make amends for being the Winter Soldier, which good on him, but sure, whatever. It's definitely a a TV way of going about like something that the comics just never even bother with because it's too much. Too much save the world shit going on. So I don't think you're really going to deal with this too much except for like what you find out with his book and I guess the old man, or I guess when the old man talks about his son being killed, what he says is his son died overseas and they wouldn't tell him what really happened. He goes, but I know there was more of it. And that's when Bucky looks at the book and he's got the guy's son's name in there. So, so his way of making amends is being friends with the old man.
For a minute, I thought he was going to go investigate it for the old man, and then I realized he doesn't need to. He did it. Yeah.
I was the same way. At first, I was like, he's going overseas to find out what happened, and then it dawned on me. I'm like, oh, that's the same Asian guy he killed earlier in the. Okay.
Yeah. There's a. I think this is the part where we skip back to Sam, to Sam's life. And like they're not even together. I don't even think they're together in this episode. I think it's
No, I was
parallel
about to
sort
say
of
that
stories of-
for a show called Falcon and Winter Soldier, it's Falcon, Winter Soldier is like two different stories that are gonna merge, but not yet.
Yeah. So back to Sam. He drives back to his family's home in Louisiana. His family runs a shrimp and boat business.
Bubblegum shrimp.
Bubblegum shrimp, barbecue shrimp, pineapple shrimp.
That might be a little racist.
What?
No.
They're shrimping in NOLA. I mean, come on.
They're shrimping in Louisiana. They're the same.
What the fuck?
I'm kidding.
And he gets back, and the family's not doing well. The business is suffering. The sister wants to sell the boat, but the boat is named after their parents, so he does not want to sell it. He has this plan that they're going to go get a loan, and the loan should get them enough money to rehab the boat, make it, instead of a fishing boat, it'll be a charter boat, and they'll be great. And then they can redo the kitchen and do all this cool stuff.
Yeah. Now, mind you, she's been there the whole 5 years he was snapped.
Yep.
Just struggling to make ends meet. So, because he mentions that too, that like when he left, his nephews were babies. He comes back and they're growing up. So yeah.
And so, right, the sister mentions that while he was gone, she took care of this stuff by herself. So they go to the bank and they meet with the bank loan officer, and who is, figures out eventually, as Sam sort of tells him, and he gets a selfie with him and does all this stuff. But
yeah, figures out he's Falcon.
Yeah, and then he asks them the question, which is really cool, and the subject of a couple videos. He said, "How do they pay you guys? Like, is there a fund for heroes? Did Stark pay you guys?" And which has led to a couple of online discussions of like, how does that work? Because I think in the comics, Stark paid everyone.
In the comics, Stark paid anyone. For like the Fantastic Four, or like, okay, X-Men, Xavier just had money, right? In the Fantastic Four, I think they owned so many patents from his inventions that they were well funded. So it was like they explain it away good enough so that you don't think about it.
But this is I think an interesting and really humanizing part of the story is that, he's the Falcon and he can do all this cool stuff, as you saw in the intro action scene. And right, he goes off and does these missions and he can fly and do all this cool stuff. And then he gets home. None of that puts food on the table, right? His family's still struggling. And then because he doesn't have enough credit because he's been gone for the last 5 years, they don't have collateral or any stuff to put up for the loan. Right. They get flat rejected. Oh, and then Sam says, "I know we should qualify for an SBA loan, a Small Business Administration loan." And he goes, "Yeah, under the old rules." And so apparently in the intervening 5 years, the government had to change rules on how they lend money and do all this other stuff.
Yeah, he said things changed since you've been gone. So,
and they get denied the loan, and you're just like, wow, I didn't think that was about to happen.
Right. Now, one of the things I heard in a podcast talking about this episode, and I mean, I understood what they were saying, right? Because of like, today's climate and this and that, whatever, and how Marvel speaks on a lot of things that are happening in culture. But I didn't really get that feeling right watching that scene. But one of the guys in the podcast I was listening to was like, oh, they were talking about how basically like, racial profiling and bullshit, whatever. And I guess kind of to an extent, because it was, she kept saying how hard it was for them to, for any kind of like black family to make it in Louisiana at the time. So I kind of got it, but at the same time, I didn't like, they weren't overhanded with it with this guy, the banker. So, you know what I mean? Like, it just seemed like he was kind of like, wish I could help you, but I can't. But like, he didn't like come down where some movies would like hit you over the head with it, where this was more subtle, but you still got that feeling like that was an underlying thing too.
I'm sure that was part of it. It felt like part of it. I also thought that, as a celebrity, Sam would have gotten the loan, right? Even if the the numbers don't work out. There's, there's all kinds of former athletes and whatever that get those kind of deals that no one else would, right?
Yeah.
We're going to let former athletes start restaurants and whatever. So I was a little bit surprised that he didn't get the loan, but it makes for an interesting story and again, more humanizing. So I think at this point we go back to Bucky on his date, and they're in the restaurant playing Battleship.
Yeah,
he's weirdly wearing 2 gloves. I'm not sure why he's wearing gloves, other than
because one glove would make him look like Michael Jackson,
I guess.
and
he would have to have one glove on the robot on the super arm, right? And then why would you only wear one?
The other one, right?
Yeah.
So it would look weird.
Yes.
So, or Diesel from the WWF, But she asked him about it too. She's like, what's with the gloves? And he says, I've got poor circulation.
Yeah.
So there's his excuse.
And then she asked him if he's dated since half the fish in the sea came back, which I thought was funny. Right.
That's where you get his age, because she asked him, how old are you? And he's like 109, and she laughs.
She laughs because she just thinks he's, like some boring dude. Yeah, she doesn't think it's possible he could actually be 109.
Yeah, she just thinks he's weird.
But the idea that, half the world's back now, and right, what does that mean for things like dating and whatever? Especially if you've moved, if you were married and your partner blipped, now what do you do?
Yeah.
While Sam is home, he gets a message from that soldier that was partnered with him on that mission. He must sign up for the listserv, I guess, for the Flag Smashers, and they send him a message that meet at such and such place. And when everybody gets there, they're all on their phones and they get instructions to go to this one spot. And then it comes up in, I don't know what that is. It's German or Swiss or something. And I think it says run.
It's definitely German, RENN. Yeah. German for run.
Yeah.
And so,
well, I guess it could be Swiss. I don't know Swiss.
They're all given, all the people that are there, they're all passed out the Flag Smasher masks, right? Which is a black full face mask with a red handprint on it. They're all given that. And then they're all running. They think they're sort of, causing a commotion or something.
Right. Yeah. Well, they're a flash mob terrorist group.
And then what you find out is in the midst of that, there's a bank robbery going on. Right. And so the guy walks out with giant satchels, you assume as cash. He confronts, the soldier guy, I forget his name, confronts the guy handing
he hands bags up to somebody else. Yeah.
Pulls a gun, tries to arrest him. And that's when the guy, you don't see it from his POV on his camera, grabs the gun out of his hand, sort of bends and looks like he's about to break his arm, and then throws him in what looks like he must have powers.
Yeah. Yeah. He's at least got super strength.
Yeah.
Because he chucks him a good bit.
Yeah. And then stomps him, right? Stomps him out.
Yeah. And it immediately bruises him. Like, you see how quick that was? I mean, that was, it took nothing for that. Like he fucked him up.
Yeah.
So
the question is, so when he calls Sam and Sam's looking at the footage, he starts to allude to that this guy might be superhuman somehow, and Sam starts to cut him off and says, "I'll look into it." And so you are left thinking, who is this? How does he get powers?
Right.
Is it in the comics in Marvel in this era of Cap leaving being Captain America and all this stuff, there is a character called the Power Broker that gives people superhuman abilities for a price.
Right.
And so you are left wondering, is that who this is? That's where he gets his powers? Is that who's involved here? They sort of shut down the discussion, but you were left thinking something's got to be going on here in order for this person to have powers that we've never seen before. Yeah,
and I mean, you've also got because you don't know who this guy really is.
Right.
It's a they could unmask him and he's an actual MCU, not MCU character, but a Marvel character that we know.
Right.
We've been discussing before, and we can get into it later, I guess, but we've been discussing before how much further along the mutant train they're going to go, because Omega Red is rumored to be in this somewhere. Who knows? I mean, he could be a mutant. It could be the first little touches of that. We'll see.
Yeah. And then we also go to not long after this, a news story of an announcement by the Defense Department that Sam is watching. He turns to it, and then we go into the story, and the guy from the DoD is talking about how, Captain America is a symbol, and right now America needs this, blah blah blah. And he said, "I'd like to introduce to you the new Captain America." And
Sam's watching it on TV.
Yeah, Sam's watching on TV, and
his sister tells him, "Right, come out here. You need to watch this."
Yeah. And there he is, the new Captain America, in a suit. He's got the shield. He's got the actual shield in a suit that looks more like U.S. agent. But in red, white, and blue than it does Cap's.
Yeah, I thought it was really strange that they did that change. It looks cheap too. It looks cheaper. It doesn't look like I don't know, fortified leather or whatever the hell the Captain America had.
It looks like something like the military would throw together when they want to sell you. Well, not the military, but the government would throw together when they want to sell you a product.
It also looks like a guy in a bad Captain America costume, right? It's like a Halloween costume. It looks like Vision in WandaVision when he's dressed up like Vision, right?
Yeah.
For that Halloween episode. That's what it looks like.
And do you know who's behind? Do you know who's? Huh?
Have you seen the memes on this?
No.
Because when he stands there and he smiles, right? They're like, he looks like a fucking old man.
Yeah.
Because he's got like a sunken face. They put up a meme of like him and Carl from Up. I was like, holy shit, it does look just like him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So Carl from Up is playing John Walker, the soon-to-be U.S. agent, current Captain America,
and the new Captain America. And what I think is interesting is the comic, when this happens in the Marvel comics, John Walker is a Southern conservative, different sort of patriot, right? Much more violent than Captain America. And they really play up the sort of his Southern conservativeness. It's a little more.
And mind you, that was years ago.
This was the 80s, like the late 80s, I think.
Yeah. Just a theory, or how much do you want to bet they're going to really lean into that with the way Disney leans on social justice shit?
This is going to be a red state. I think it's going to be a conversation about what is patriotism among, right, red state, blue state. What does that look like?
I mean, they already set this, and they set the stage because this Captain America didn't earn the shield. It wasn't handed. He was picked by politicians.
Right. Yeah.
So they're definitely going to play through that hard, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm just wondering how they're going to resolve it at the end. If they're actually going to like lean far one way, or you know what I mean, as far as what looks good, what looks bad.
Yeah,
it's going to be pretty interesting.
The comic, I mean, he gets he brutalizes people, right? And so that may be where this ends up. Is Steve would never do that, and so
because Steve had to take him down in the comics.
Yeah, and so that may not happen, but Falcon and Winter Soldier, one of them is going to, right? Because he's not living up to the Captain America, Steve Rogers Captain America ideals.
Legacy, yeah. And now in the comics, at least, he does wind up, I guess, reforming, or he's humbled after getting his ass kicked by Steve Rogers. He looks back at what he's been doing and realizes he's wrong. And he does become a hero. He becomes one of the West Coast Avengers as U.S. agent. So, I mean, hopefully there'll be like some kind of redeeming arc for the guy. But I'll put it out here now. I'm gonna throw out my other theory. John Walker, U.S. agent, is Mephisto.
Did you see who he was in the credits?
No.
Wyatt Russell. He's the son of Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn.
Oh, is that right?
Right, I heard about
I
that.
didn't know that.
Yeah, I think this is his first acting role ever.
Well, I don't know if it's his first acting role, but I know what I heard online was the reason you really don't even recognize his face is because it's the first time you've seen him like clean shaven and with like normally.
Yeah, he's usually shaggy with a big old beard.
Yeah, long hair and a big old beard, like like Kurt Russell is nowadays. So
Interesting.
So yeah. So
yeah, it looks like he's been in some.
He's hiding that Carl up face,
It looks like he's been in some TV miniseries. But this will be his first real big production. I've never even heard of these other ones. The Good Lord, Lodge 49.
So I think that's where it ends. I think it ends with the picture of John Walker as the new Captain America. Goes in, and then you go 9 minutes of credits like WandaVision. No, I didn't see an end credit.
There's no end credit on this one. Probably not until the very end.
Yep.
All right. So yeah. All right. Round the table. Thoughts. Well, Paul's been talking his ass off. So thanks, Paul, for taking the whole episode.
You're welcome.
Eric and I took a nap, and you just went.
Yeah. I thought it was really good. I was a little worried that they were going to go like a complete 180 from WandaVision and have this just be like super heavy action. And they definitely led in that way, but there is an underlying story here they're trying to pull out. And I was curious what Sam was going to do being handed down the shield, and definitely didn't see that coming. Didn't see the, fake Captain America, John Walker thing coming in here, and Sam basically shrugging it all off.
Yeah, and it's a nice nod to everything that's happened in the comics throughout the history of Captain America. Yeah, and then eventually you'll lead into something else later. But yeah, and I enjoyed it a lot. I think my suspicions about how they jumbled around their release dates is a little more confirmed for me, because I think this was probably supposed to be the first thing after Black Widow, like to kind of drop and just really set a higher bar than what they did. But this is definitely like you feel like you're full blown in the MCU universe now. Yeah. But yeah, I love this episode. I can't wait for tomorrow.
Yeah, it did not. It took us a minute to warm up to WandaVision. I don't think this did that.
No.
Good mix of action, good story, and I'm curious to see how they bring these two guys together. I did before the episode watch that thing on Disney Plus called Legends.
Yeah.
Right, and the one about Falcon. There's a lot of.
I haven't watched that one yet.
It's pretty good. There's a lot of scenes of Falcon and Winter Soldier together in like Civil War and some other stuff, where they're just like the one scene where they're in the car together and they're waiting for something, and Bucky's in the back and he's like, "Can you move up?" And Sam's like, "No," and he's just like, "I hate you."
Yeah, and they say it to each other in the trailer too for this, so there's going to be no love lost. But I know there was that one part with Bucky talking to his therapist. I think it was his therapist, or it was the old Japanese guy. It was one of the two of them told him, it was the therapist, you need to open up to people and have friends, someone you can rely on and talk to. Because you have nobody. It's not healthy, especially not for someone like you. And he does mention in there that the only peace he had after years of fighting was when he was in Wakanda.
Yeah.
So.
And didn't he, when the therapist asked for his phone, doesn't he hand over a flip phone? Like it's an old Nokia phone or something like that?
Oh, yeah, it's old.
Yeah. And she's like, you have like 10 contacts in here.
Yeah. She's like, you need to work on that.
Yeah, you need some friends.
So that's really where Sam's going to come in. I'm sure, and because this is only like 6 episodes, So basically, it's like a 6-hour-long movie is what it's going to wind up being. I don't think it's as broken up evenly as WandaVision was, because that was like different eras in this. I think this will flow a lot better from one episode to the next. I think like a lot of the little animosity things that you saw are going to get out of the way in the beginning of like the next couple episodes, and then the last 3 episodes, they may still like do that whole lethal weapon back and forth,
right.
But I think you're going to see how they definitely care about each other pretty quick, because I think it's going to, like you said earlier, it's going to be the two of them come together because of the legacy of Cap, and then after that, it's going to be, like basically like, okay, you were his best friend, and you were the one he handed the shield to. We need to do something about this,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to build from there. So the two of them are going to be, it's going to be buddy cop movie from here on out.
Right.
I'm sure next episode is when they're going to come together. It's not. This thing is moving too fast for any kind of WandaVision antics. So yeah, I really liked it. Any alibis for this one?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Well, if you haven't watched it, I don't know why you're here, but comment down below, like, subscribe, ring a bell. Let us know what you think of Falcon Winter Soldier. I almost said WandaVision. Falcon Winter Soldier, episode 1. Join us next week for episode 2, and support us all over the place. Whatifgeeks.com, whatifgeeks@gmail.com, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and very soon Patreon. I'm gonna get that shit on there, and we're gonna start launching by middle of next month. That's my deadline. I'm gonna have a bunch of shit on there.
Don't say which month, so you're safe.
There you go. By the middle of a month, we will have everything on there, everything I can get on there, and then we'll have like regular content going on there, and we'll start announcing the tiers. We'll figure it out. All right. So in that case, good night, Tony.
Good night, Mephisto. We know you're coming somewhere.
Good night, George St. Pierre. Not forever, though. Not forever. He's the one that didn't die, I'm pretty sure.
That's right.
Yeah.